Greetings of the day, dear learners. This is Dr. Shaumili Mandal, an assistant professor of English at Vasant Kanya Mahavidyalaya, admitted to the privileges of Banaras Hindu University. I am back with my second lecture of Module 1. So, our Module 1 was introducing folklore as a discipline, definitions and key concepts. And the lecture this time are the parameters of folklore. Okay. So now I'll be talking to you about how folklore as a culture traverses beyond class divisions of our society. For instance, Holi is celebrated by people of all classes, irrespective of their social status. By removing the interpolation of language, one can find tangible reality of folk culture. For example, Holika Dahan, where in ancient times crop residue was piled and burnt on the occasion, which was environment-friendly waste management. Holika Dahan is an important ritual associated with the Hindu festival of Holi, which is celebrated with much enthusiasm and fervor in India and various parts of the world. The burning of Holika is a central aspect of the Holi celebration and symbolizes the victory of good over evil. The mythological origin behind Holika Dahan is rooted in the ancient story of Prahlad and his aunt Holika. So now we'll come to the mythological story of Holika Dahan. The story originates from the Puranas, especially the Vishnu Purana and the Vagbata Purana, and is associated with the demon king Hiranyakshipu, his son Prahlad, and his sister Holika. So, Hiranyakshipu was a powerful and arrogant demon king who sought to become immortal. He went to great lengths to obtain a boon from the gods, which made him invulnerable to death by any living being, either by day or night, inside or outside, on the ground or in the sky. With his newfound power, he began to terrorize the world and commanded everyone to worship only him as a god. Despite his father's orders, Prahlad, Hiranyakshipu's son, remained devoted to Lord Vishnu. Much to his father's fury, Prahlad's unwavering faith in Vishnu angered Hiranyakshipu, and he also tried to kill his own son rather than making him worship him. Prahlad refused to give up on his devotion of Vishnu, and also his father sent armies to kill him. In one such attempt, Hiranyakshipu called upon his sister Holika, who had a magical cloak that made her invulnerable to fire. Holika, with her powers, agreed to sit with Prahlad in a blazing fire, believing that she would be protected while Prahlad would burn to death. However, due to his unwavering devotion to Vishnu, Prahlad remained unharmed. As the fire burned, Holika's cloak flew off, and it was she who was consumed by the flames instead of Prahlad. This even symbolized the destruction of evil, Holika, and the protection of the virtuous Prahlad, thanks to his faith in Lord Vishnu. The burning of Holika during Holika Dahan represents the triumph of good over evil and the destruction of the evil forces. It is believed that by lighting a bonfire and performing Holika Dahan, people symbolically burn away their sins and negativity, making a fresh start for the upcoming year. The fire also signifies purification, that is, an act of celebrating the victory of devotion and goodness over selfishness and arrogance. In modern day Holi celebration, the Holika Dahan ritual typically takes place on the night before the main festival of Holi. Huge bonfires are lit in villages, towns, and cities across India, symbolizing the destruction of evil, while people dance around the fire and offer prayers for health, wealth, and prosperity in the coming year. The next day, people celebrate Holi by throwing colored powders at each other, dancing, singing, and enjoying the festive atmosphere, reflecting the joy and unity that come from the victory of good. In a sense, the myth of Holika Dahan highlights, as I said, the themes of devotion, faith, good versus evil, and the purification of the soul. It's a powerful reminder of the importance of the righteousness and devotion and divine principles. The evolution of Holi from a ritualistic event into a widespread event involved several factors, which I'll be discussing now. Over time, as more people began to participate in the festival, Holi began to shift from intimate household ritual to a more communal celebration. The arrival of spring became a central theme, with people celebrating the renewal of life, abundance, and fertility. So, the village celebrations in rural communities, Holi became a festival celebrated by the entire village. People would gather in large numbers to play with colors, throw powders at each other, and dance in the streets. This community oriented nature of the festival made it more inclusive. Also, the use of colored powder became a central aspect, symbolizing the vibrancy of spring and the joyful mood of the season. Also, during the Mughal period, the festival began to adopt some new features that helped it transform to a public spectacle we know today. The Mughal emperors like Akbar are often credited with popularizing Holi in the royal courts. Public celebrations in the Mughal court were celebrated with grandeur. The emperor would invite citizens from all walks of life, Hindu, Muslim, and others, to join the festivities. This inclusiveness helped people make the festival more public rather than confined to their own particular social group or religion. The Mughals also encouraged the use of vibrant colors, singing, and dancing as a part of Holi, further solidifying its festive nature. These elements became integral to the celebration, which were passed down through generations. Also, during the British colonial rule in India, Holi saw changes in its celebration due to social reforms and cultural interactions. The British, who were often unfamiliar with Hindu traditions, looked at Holi from a different perspective and saw it as an occasion for public revelry. The British administration gave Holi a status of a public holiday, particularly in areas with large number of Hindus. This increased its visibility and made it more widely celebrated in both urban and rural areas. So, it was adopted into a public festivity and now it was made more aware to the public. Holi also became a day for street processions, with people coming together in large groups to play with colors, dances, and celebrate together. However, the British also imposed restrictions on certain practices during Holi, like the excessive noise or public drunkenness, which led to the more structured public celebrations, unlike now. In the 20th and 21st century, the Indian diaspora communities spread across the world, and Holi began to be celebrated internationally. People from various countries, not just Hindus, started to participate in Holi festivals. In cities like New York, London, and Toronto, Holi events and festivals are organized for people of all nationalists, and making it a global celebration of color, joy, and cultural change. In recent decades, the festival has also become a commercial event, with brands and organizations sponsoring Holi in public spaces, making it more widely accessible to the general public. Also, the events with music, food, and large crowds are common, and it has been marketed as tourist attractions. Today, Holi has transcended religious boundaries and is celebrated by people of all background and faith, both in India and around the world, making it one of the most colorful and joyful spectacles in the world. Next, we are going to talk about how folk as a culture goes beyond geographical boundaries as it is a shared experience. For example, I'll take the instance of gulab jamun, a very popular dessert we have in India, which is recognized in various parts of Asia with different names and history of origin. Gulab jamun is one of the most beloved and iconic desserts in South Asia, especially in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nepal. The history of gulab jamun is fascinating, as it has both its roots in Indian and Persian culinary traditions and has evolved over centuries to become the sweet treat we know today. Let's explore the history and origins of this delicious dish. The earliest origins of gulab jamun are often traced to Persia, where a similar dessert called lukma existed. This dessert was made from flour, yogurt, and sugar, and was deep fried and soaked in sugar syrup. The name was lukmat al-Kadi. This dish was very popular in Persian and Arab regions, and it is believed that it was brought to the Indian subcontinent by the Mughal Empire. So, now we have the Mughal influence on gulab jamun. It played a significant role in shaping the cuisine of the Indian subcontinent, especially in the development of royal dishes and sweets. The Mughals who ruled around 16th century brought with them rich culinary traditions from Persia and Central Asia, including the concept of deep-fried sweets. It is believed that after the Mughals introduced their version of the dessert, the Indian subcontinent began to adopt it with local ingredients and cooking methods. Over time, it became an essential part of the Indian cuisine and was widely consumed during festivals, weddings, and all types of special occasions. Over time, gulab jamun became a staple across various regions of the Indian subcontinent, and different variations obviously emerged. Today, gulab jamun is widely enjoyed by people from all backgrounds, and also the Indian diaspora plays a very important part in it. It is served in restaurants worldwide, especially in areas with a large South Asian community. If you see the various names by which gulab jamun in various parts of the world, you will understand the basic ingredients are as common as sugar from sugarcane, milk solids from either milk of sheep or camels, semolina, the staple crop grown from the prehistoric times throughout West and South Asia. The people experimented with these ingredients, which resulted the birth of an approximately common Indian sweetmeat. So, now we are going to talk about how folk culture is coherent even though our society is transformed into modern stage. For example, in the present times, people mostly believe in modern medicines, but traditional Indian medicine holds relevance. In the case of Ayurvedic system, factors involving the medication of paste, powders, and liquids portray our belief in curing rituals. The relationship between folk medicine and modern medicine is deeply intertwined. Modern medicine, while highly advanced and scientific, owes much of its origins and development to the practices and knowledge found in folk medicine. Here I've attached the basic ingredients which are required in Ayurvedic medicine. You can see a mortar and a pestle, some barks, some liquids, and powders. Folk medicine encompasses traditional healing practices and remedies passed down through generations, often based on herbalism, spiritual beliefs, and empirical observations. So, folk medicine gave birth to the modern shaped medicine. Many modern pharmaceutical drugs are derived from plants that we first used in folk medicine. For instance, willow bark used in folk medicine for pain relief, which was found to contain salicylic acid and the active ingredient in aspirin. Opium poppy was used by ancient civilizations like the Egyptians and Sumerians to relieve pain. It became the foundation for the development of morphine and opiate-based medications. The cinchona or the cinchona tree bark, which was used by indigenous people in South America to treat malaria, led to the discovery of quinine, the first effective treatment for malaria. So, we have scientific validations of the many healing properties of plants and herbs, initially recognized through folk medicine, and now they have been validated and refined through scientific study. This is the foundation of pharmacology, where plant-derived compounds have been studied, isolated, and synthesized for modern medicines. As the role of traditional healing systems, several ancient and traditional healing systems were based on folk medicine and later developed into formal systems of knowledge. These systems not only treated physical ailments but also provided insights into mental and emotional health, laying the foundation for modern approaches to holistic medicine. One of the oldest systems of medicine in the world, Ayurveda, was based on folk knowledge from the Indian subcontinent. It focused on maintaining balance between the body's energies, the vata, pitta, and kapha, we say, and used herbs, diet, and lifestyle adjustments for healing. Many Ayurvedic plants, like turmeric, which has immense anti inflammatory purposes, and neem, which has antibacterial properties, are now are recognized in modern pharmacology. We also have indigenous healing practices throughout the world, be it Native American, African, or Aboriginal. We also have a deep understanding of the local environment and natural remedies. Some of these practices continue to inspire modern medical research into plant-based therapies. We also use nowadays folk medicine in anatomy and surgeries, as it has various methods of treatment for injuries and wounds, such as using herbal poultice or stitching wound. However, it was a study of anatomy by Andreas Vesalius in the 16th century and advancements in surgical techniques that revolutionized surgery and led to modern medical practices. We also have herbal supplements like echinacea, ginseng, garlic, and ginger for immune support, energy, and digestion, and are grounded in centuries of folk knowledge that are still widely used now. While modern medicine has yet to fully integrate these practices into mainstream healthcare, there is growing evidence supporting their therapeutic benefits for pain relief and stress management. As we can say that we still believe in the homemade nuskes rather than allopathic medicines. That's how our folk functions in our life. The next, we are going to talk about folk as a culture and how it differs from our modern culture, as it is not sophisticated but vibrant and rustic. For example, regional performances comprising of tamasha of central India and jatrapala of eastern India connects the audiences to its roots more than city-bred proscenium theatre. Here, I'll be talking to you about one of the very famous jatrapala we have, that is the Roopban Jatra. The Roopban Jatra is a traditional folk festival that is celebrated in the rural regions of West Bengal, particularly in Birbhum, during the time of the Bengali New Year, which we say Poila Boishakh. The festival is centered around the Roopban myth and is a part of the region's cultural and spiritual practices, particularly among the Santhal community and other indigenous community. Here, I have attached the photo of one such Roopban Jatra performances. The story of Roopban is rooted in Bengali folklore, and the Roopban Jatra celebrates the legend of Roopban, an older Hindu girl who had to marry a younger Muslim boy named Rohim to forsake a curse that befell on his kingdom. So we will discuss the features of the Roopban Jatra. The symbolism we have in Roopban Jatra is that the village participates in a series of rituals designed to honor Roopban. The rituals often include songs and dances celebrating the themes of love, beauty, and the power of women. Offerings are made at local temples or places deemed sacred, often involving the goddess worship aspects of the folk practices. The Roopban Jatra includes folk performances, especially dhol, drum, and baya, a type of drum used in folk music, which are played throughout the village as people celebrate. Traditional folk dances such as jhumur and baul songs are also a part of this revelry. Like many other folk festivals, Roopban Jatra fosters a sense of community, a unity where villagers gather to partake in the celebrations together, irrespective of their social or economic status. Particularly, men wear traditional Bengali attire, often in bright colors, reflecting the joyous nature of the festival. Women dress in saris, and men, as I said, dhoti or kurta. This aspect of the festival emphasizes the community's connection to rural traditions and the Bengali folk heritage. Like many folk festivals, Roopban Jatra also involves the preparation and sharing of traditional Bengali food. which brings people together and reinforces, again, the sense of community bonding. We have pites, which are traditionally Bengali sweets, and other local delicacies, which are often prepared and shared during the celebration. Though the celebration of Rupban Jatra is very traditional and a rural folk practice, in recent years, elements of the festival have spread to more urbanized settings in West Bengal. This expansion, along with the increasing popularity of Bengali folk culture, has led to the incorporation of Rupban Jatra in cultural programs and festivals in urban areas. The festival serves as a reminder of the rich cultural heritage that was central to rural life in Bengal before the rapid spread of modernization. The story of Rupban and the celebration through the Rupban Jatra offers a glimpse into the folkloric traditions and ritualistic practices that continue to influence Bengali culture. It highlights the sacredness of beauty, love, and femininity in folk narratives and offers a moment for the community to reflect on its historical and cultural roots. The next, we are going to talk about the evolution of saris. So, authorship in folk culture is anonymous, whereas in a contemporary society, every cultural component has a copyright owner. For example, sari, which is an essential part of Indian couture, doesn't have any founder, whereas trendy gowns are all copyrighted. The evolution of the sari, one of the most iconic garments in Indian culture, is a fascinating journey through history with influences from various regions, including Iran and beyond. While the sari is today primarily associated with India, its origins and evolution have been influenced by multiple cultures over time. So, now I'll give you a detailed explanation about the sari's evolution. So, the sari has its ancient roots, as I said, in the Indian subcontinent. The earliest references to garments resembling the sari can be found in ancient Indian texts, including the Vedic literature, where women are depicted wearing a piece of cloth draped round the body. This early form of sari was made from simple woven fabrics like cotton or wool, and it was usually unstitched, similar to modern-day drape styles. Also, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, one of the two of the oldest Indian epics we have, mentions the concept of draped garments worn by women, which were precursors to the sari. Also, the Persians brought with them innovations in fabric and garment designs. The use of rich, luxurious textiles, including silk, velvet, and brocade, spread to India. These fabrics were often adorned with intricate embroidery, creating a lavish style. Also, the Persian weavers were highly skilled, and their influence led to the growth of the textile industry in India. The Mughals even introduced sophisticated weaving techniques, and many Indian saris began to incorporate Persian-inspired patterns such as floral motifs and geometric designs. Also, the introduction of the pallu, the loose end of the fabric that drapes over the shoulder or is left hanging in the back, was also introduced. While the sari itself was already in existence, the influence of Persian court attire led to the more structured and fashionable presentation of the sari, especially with the pallu thrown over the shoulder. This draping style became popular in northern India and is widely seen in modern sari fashion. Mughal emperors and nobles wear draped garments similar to the sari, often paired with cholis, blouses, which were introduced as part of the Mughal influence. So, the influence also was of the Persian of the process of veiling. So, the veiling, how Indian women styled their saris, with some adopting the practice of veiling their faces or heads, used a part of the sari. This was called ghungat, which was seen in many regions, especially in the northern parts of India. In southern parts of India, especially in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, the sari became more structured, with the Kanjivaram sari being one of the most well-known. These saris were famous for their heavy silk fabric and vibrant colors, with intricate gold borders. Also, in western India, In Gujarat and Maharashtra, the sari was often worn with a pleated drip, and the traditional Gujarati bandhni sari became famous for its tie-dye technique. In eastern India, that is in Bengal, we see the traditional red border, white body sari, which was highly prized during the Mughal period, and now it is being replaced by cotton fabrics in the modern day. And we also have a cultural significance for this sari as we wear this sari specifically during Durga Puja. Now, the sari has transcended national borders, being worn and admired worldwide. Designers and fashion icons have incorporated global influences into their sari designs, and the evolution has been massive. While the sari has evolved into a modern garment, it remains deeply rooted in India's rich history and continues to reflect the influence of past cultures like Persia in its design and legacy. Next, we'll talk about how folklore can be public as well as personal. For example, Ramayana and Mahabharata are epics which have been in public domain from time immemorial, whereas a family portrait can be a personal folk art. Personal folklore refers to the traditions, stories, beliefs, and practices that individuals or families create and pass down within their own lives. It can be made up from anything, from superstitions, anecdotes, or rituals to personal myths, legends, or sayings that hold significance for a specific person or group. So we have personal myths, which are passed down through generations that might be rooted in reality but often exaggerated or romanticized. We also have the grandparents' tale, where the grandparents say about their early lives, hardships, or journey, which become a part of the personal folklore. For example, a grandmother might have a story about meeting a famous person or an unusual event that happened during her childhood, and it becomes a cherished piece of the family's history. Also, some people have beliefs tied to seasons, such as the tradition of getting new clothes before the start of the school year or having a specific family outing every summer. We also have homemade remedies, which are also a part of our culture, and we can say that homemade remedies for ailments based on personal experience becomes a part of the folk healing tradition. Some people may have specific practices such as using herbs or essential oils for healing passed down through their family or personal experience, which becomes part of their personal folklore. Here I have shown the Holi art, which is extremely famous in the Holi tribe of Maharashtra. Now I come to the last slide of this lecture. That is about that every belief, expression, habit, rite, ritual, and institution are actually based on folk tradition, directly or indirectly, and can be discovered by deconstruction. I have given here the photo of the Chhat Puja, which is worshipping the various elements of nature dedicated to the sun god and his wife Usha, showing the complements of Purush and Prakriti. Chhat Puja has its root in the folk traditions of ancient India, particularly in the regions of Bihar, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh, and Nepal, where the festival is still most widely celebrated. It has given us the rural folk traditions, as it is very important and has an agricultural significance, and the offering to the sun and water also reflects an ancient belief in the divinity of nature and the cycles of life, which are central to folk wisdom. The sun, as a symbol of vitality, is believed to provide not just warmth and light, but also health, prosperity, and energy. Also, the key aspects of the rituals we have are cleanliness and purity, and the devotees ensure cleanliness and purity throughout the festivals. It is customary for participants to take a ritual bath and wear fresh clothes. Also, this has environmental connection, as the Chhat Puja symbolizing health, vitality, and the importance of nature-based rituals in Indian culture focuses on the sun's life-sustaining energy. So now, listeners, I would like to thank you for listening to my lecture, and I'll enrich you more in my coming lectures. Thank you.